Hey guys, it's about 5 minutes until we start our Facebook Live training with you. So just while people are logging on and getting settled in and for our time together, I just wanted to share a few products with you so you know some other things that Facebook is known for and ways that we can help you in your classroom. We have all kinds of wonderful visual vocabulary cards, some great ELAR cards, fantastic science cards, and of course our award-winning math visual vocabulary cards. Everybody needs those. They're just fantastic. All of them are. Word of the day or SAT level words. Fantastic way just to get things started on the day. They're so cute. They're wonderful. I've seen this used with little bitty guys all the way through your high school kids. Just so visual and puts the picture with the word and really helps get kids using higher level vocabulary, which is fun to watch that grow. So that's some of our word of the day. Maybe at this time of the day you're feeling lethargic. Maybe you're not. We also have some new words for test taking terms for our math. These are, if they have a QR code on them, they're animated, so the kids really enjoy scanning those and checking those out. Those are pretty fun. Some of our science cards. Those are very popular, and those are great for all grade levels. Some brand new cards that were just released. They are hot off the press, and these are our spelling mnemonics. Just good ways to help kids remember how to spell some of the tricky words. These are our commonly confused words. I love these words too. I love all of them, so I'm going to say that about all of them. So get used to it, I guess. These are great. Then our math visual vocabulary cards. These are kindergarten level ones, I believe. There's another kindergarten. This is obviously not kindergarten. This is geometry. So these go all the way through high school geometry and algebra. So these are cool. And these are sold by grade level sets. Very popular for word walls and vocabulary activities. Lots of fun ways to implement those in your classroom. Let's see what else we got here while we're waiting. How much more time we got? We have just a couple more minutes. We have, let's see. There's just so many to share with you. Position and direction words. Again, these are animated, so the kids scan the QR code and it shows the animation of that. I love our measurement benchmarks. I just spilt all the cards. Multitasking here. Measurement benchmark cards are fantastic. These are so good. A great way to help kids remember about what a ton weighs. And have those for all measurements, metric and customary. And this is another position direction word. Super cute. So anyway, I just want to make sure you knew we have all kinds of good stuff out there for all content areas. Here's some more of our new spelling mnemonics. These are just so cute. These are going to be a great addition to an ELAR classroom. I love this one. A lot of people don't even realize there's a difference between complement and complement. So those are cool. What else do we have? We just released some science tools. These again are animated as well. And math tools. So there's some more for our measurement. We have cards for lab safety and a little activity game that can go with those. So it's got a square scramble that goes with it, and then just the posters that go along for the lab safety. These would be great for your science classroom. So anyway, check out our website, LoneStarLearning.com. If you would like a catalog, we would love to send you one. So if you'll just send us an email, we can certainly get one of those to you. I'm going to turn on the lights here real quick. There. That's a little bit better. All right. Well, it is 4 o'clock. I hope that you are logged on and ready. if you can, while you're there, we'd love to know where you're watching from. So if you want to just put in the comments where you're at, we would love to know who's here and where you're from and what lucky kids get to hang out with you. Maybe give it another minute or two to let some people get logged on. Hello, Hannah. How are you? Hope you're ready for a good time. Hannah, what grade do you teach? Why don't you stick that on there? I'd love to know what grade you're working in. Hello, Madeline. We're so glad you guys are joining us. Hope y'all are ready for a great school year. The beginning of school is so exciting and so exhausting all at the same time. I hope you're full of energy and ready to go. Hi, Rebecca. Thanks for joining us. We're glad you're here too. All right. Well, since you guys are here and on time, I think we're gonna, okay, so Hannah is Whitney, Texas. All right. I'm glad you're here and you're a sixth grade teacher. Awesome, that's great. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and get started since you guys are here and on time. I don't wanna make you have to hang out any longer. I wanna be a good steward of your time because I feel like that's really important. Just wanna tell you before we get started, just a little bit about Lone Star Learning. The whole goal of Lone Star Learning is to decrease teacher effort, all the while increasing student success. So we want to make your job easier and we want to make your kids more successful. That's our entire goal with everything we do is to make your life easier and to make your kids more successful. So hopefully we're accomplishing that with you. This product is created just for you. This is a Texas-only product. It is not sold outside of the state of Texas or used outside of the state of Texas. It is strictly for Texas. We aren't trying to hit every learner out there. We are just focusing on our Texas learners. It's made in Texas. We're based in Lubbock, Texas, and it's made for you. We try to make sure, we go to great lengths to make sure that every text is covered. When the new stars are released, we always go through those, comb through them, and very carefully and look at our program and make sure that we're asking things in a way that's going to have your kids best prepared so that there aren't any surprises for them as best as we can. This product is only for Texas because that's how awesome you are. So why are we here? Today I want to talk a little bit about why to use TEKSas Target Practice. I want to talk about how to use this product effectively and how can you incorporate this product in your classroom as seamlessly as possible. So those are the things that we really want to cover today. Before we begin, I really want to testify for you. I'm not just a smooth talker, obviously, but I have used this in the trenches. I taught second grade and fourth grade, and I used it religiously in both grade levels, and I had very successful mathematicians in my classroom. In my fourth grade classroom, that was made up of special education students, it was made up of ESL learners, it was made up of emotionally disturbed children, and it was made up of about 50% poverty or more. And out of that plate's pretty full, and it didn't look so good at the beginning of the year, and I kind of thought, ugh, this might not look so good come May. But out of that, when the scores were released, I had, oops, sorry about that, 100% of my students passed the STAR and show growth. I mean, it was a beautiful, beautiful thing. And it was something definitely worth celebrating for those kids. Not for me, but for those kids. And I really give full credit to using TEKSas Target Practice daily, without fail, with consistency. This was a part of our day, and I really think that's why my kids were successful. So I can promise you that it works. If you buy into it and you use it like it's intended to be used, it's going to work for you too. I hope that you've downloaded the listening guide. If not, it's up in the post above this video, and you can just kind of use this to guide our time together, to take some notes so that you can come back and refer to that later on after our time together. So those are there for you. I keep pushing the wrong button. All right, before we begin, the number one rule. Okay, I got to fix this because it's bugging me. It's still bugging me. There, sorry about that. The number one rule that I can tell you guys, and this goes for anything you do in your classroom, but for TEKSas Target Practice for sure, your students' attitude about TEKSas Target Practice will be a direct reflection of the teachers. Okay? Teacher attitude, student attitude, they're the exact same thing. So make sure that when you present this to them, you're excited and you're gung-ho and you're confident and you're not afraid to struggle and you're not afraid of trying new things. And your kids are going to have that same attitude. They're going to be confident. They're not going to be afraid to struggle. And they're going to be excited about this. If you go into this program and you're like, my principal's giving me one more thing to add to my classroom, your students are going to have that same attitude. If you go into this program with this is way too hard, your kids are going to have that same attitude of, this is way too hard. But if you approach it with, oh, look at this. This is new. How can we solve this one? And kids are going to start figuring out ways to get to solutions themselves. And that's what we want. We want kids who can think for themselves, kids who can do for themselves, and kids who can be successful. So please promise me, I so-and-so, promise to go into this with a great attitude. You're going to benefit from it when you do. So you need to have a good attitude and your kids will have a good attitude. All right. If you got to see The Incredibles this summer, which I hope you did, my kids saw it when they were little and now they're teenagers. So we got to see the second one and it was so fun, but I loved the math part in it. And Dash has math homework. Mom's off on her assignment. So Dad's stuck with helping Dash. And, he doesn't know what to do. So Dad's like, math is math. Just do the math. And then Dash is like, Dad, it's what the teacher said to do. And Dad's like, I don't know that way. Why? Why would they change math? And guys, that's the same attitude I hear so many adults reflect. Why would they change math? Well, we're changing the way we're teaching math so that we're teaching thinkers. We're not teaching kids who know how to jump through hoops. We're teaching kids who understand math, and that's a beautiful thing. So don't be a Mr. Incredible. You're going to go to the class, and you're going to be Miss Incredible, and you're going to reflect this great attitude, and you're going to get to see that reflected back. And that's a much prettier reflection in the mirror than an old grumpy one. So as in our time together, most of the time I'm going to be I'll be referring to the digital product just because it's easier to show on the computer. But the paper, which looks like this behind here, it is the exact same thing. You get printables, you get the student sheets, the teacher tips, you get all of those things. The only thing that is different is you don't have the digital tools. So this is for both paper users and for digital users. So I hope anybody who that applies to will hop on and take advantage of our time together. All right, so let's talk about how can you equip tech-savvy students. Now, we want our kids, of course, we want them to be successful in May on the STAR for our testing grade levels, but that's not our ultimate goal. Our ultimate goal is to really develop students who can do math, who understand math, who like numbers, who aren't afraid of numbers, girls and boys, that we want them all to be successful in math. There's just everything in our world goes back to math. I mean, at the beginning of the school year, I always challenge my kids. I say, hey guys, if you can tell me one thing that has absolutely nothing to do with anything mathematical, I'll buy you ice cream. And I've never had to buy ice cream because you can always relate everything back to numbers of some sort. So that's a good little challenge to give your kids too. All right, so TEKSas Target Practice. This graphic here shows the cycle. So it's a 10-day cycle. So 2 weeks, and every 2 weeks, your kids have done every text for your grade level. So you start with gold on Monday, move to red on Tuesday, yellow on Wednesday, cherry on Thursday, green on Friday, and then the second week, Monday, lime, Tuesday, purple, Wednesday, pink, Thursday, blue, Friday, orange, and there's your 10-day cycle. And at that point, you've gone over every text for your grade level. That's why kids who use this are so successful, because they don't forget one concept when the teacher moves from one concept to another, because they still are coming back to this concept every 2 weeks. So that's what makes it such a beautiful work of art and successful. So in your program, when you get TEKSas Target Practice, what you get is 36 weeks of content. Every 10 days, like we just talked about, your kids have practiced every text for your grade level. There's a student progress monitor option, and there's also a teacher progress monitor option, which I'll show you here in just a minute. TEKSas Target Practice is designed to be a preview of what your students are going to learn, a practice of what your students are learning, and a review of what your students have learned. So at the beginning of the year, it's going to be a whole lot more preview, and then you're slowly going to add in your practice, and then those practices become review, and then just on and on and on until it's more of a practice and a review. So when you start with that preview part, at that point, the program is going to take a little more time. And there's not very long of that for it taking more time. You should get to 10 to 15 minutes before long. First 2 or 3 sets, you're going to do a lot more teacher controlled, teacher modeling, teacher think alouds, and then you're going to kind of move in to the review part as the new concepts are learned, and you can take the training wheels off and let the kids roll. The program also has some built-in digital tools that I'll show you here in just a minute. One of the neat things they've added the last couple of years is they added the last 6 weeks at the grade level before you. So if you're a 4th grade teacher, you have access to 3rd grade's last 6 weeks, which also means you have access to the tools that are built in the 3rd grade program. So that's pretty cool too. So really take advantage of that last 6 weeks review. Maybe you want to start there to kind of start your routine and get kids refreshed on those math facts that are going to roll into your grade level. Maybe you want to use that as a tutorial. Maybe you want to use that last 6 weeks review as intervention. Maybe you want to use them as all of those things. So just figure out how to best take advantage of that. But that's a pretty cool tool that they stuck into that. For our administrators, we have a portion in the admin part that allows you to check usage, so you can make sure that it's being implemented in the classrooms. You can see if maybe there's a teacher who might need a little more training or help on that. So be sure and take advantage of that as well. So I want to show you the benefits of using this campus-wide. When your campus, if you're one of those lucky campuses that has it for all grade levels, when the whole campus is on board and using this like it's intended to be used, you can tell a difference. When August comes around and you get that fresh crop of kids, but their teacher used this last year, you can tell for sure. And you can also tell the ones that didn't have that opportunity. It just shows up. So let me just show you how this vertical alignment works. This is probably one of the best ways for a campus to make sure that vertical alignment is happening, because it just naturally happens with TEKSas Target Practice. So here's a kindergarten. This is kindergarten gold. So the kindergarten kid, here's my gold card. So A, B, and C, I'm always going to come back to this card. So here's A, and the student sheet's going to look just like that. Lots of kindergarten classes choose not to do a student sheet. They just do this as a class, maybe at carpet time. So the student sheet is optional for kindergarten. But anyway, back to A. So it says count and write the number. So let's count together, guys. 1, 2. And then we're going to write the number 2. And then I'm going to draw tally marks. And then I'm going to do one more, one less. That's kindergarten. Here's first grade. What am I going to do again? I'm writing the number, but the number's grown, hasn't it? B, I'm going to sketch that number. So I'm going to use the place value drawing to show this number. And C, I'm going to write it in expanded form. Okay, for you older teachers, how many of you realize that all the way back to first grade, your kids were learning expanded form? I think a lot of us think, oh no, that didn't happen until 3rd or 4th grade. Now this is first grade, so they're already getting it here, which is beautiful, right? And then when we get to the billions, they've already got a really good foundation. 2nd grade, I'm going to write the number. 10 more, 10 less, 100 more, 100 less. So kindergarten did 1 more, 1 less. First grade did 1 more, 1 less, 10 more, 10 less. 2nd grade, 10 more, 10 less, 100 more, 100 less. So do you see how that's growing? It's gorgeous. This is like a math teacher's dream. Then on to third grade, we're going to move to expanded notation. So we've had expanded form. Now we're going to talk about expanded notation. And they are different, and so we need the kids to understand the difference in those two things. We're doing how many tens, how many ones, and then we're adding our operations in. Fourth grade, here I go. I've got some 10 times the place value, 1/10 the place value. I'm writing in an expanded form. I'm writing in expanded notation. I'm comparing numbers. I'm ordering numbers. So this is great, great. Then fifth grade, we move on in to decimals, but still that place value idea. So I just wanted you to see how intentional this is. And when all the texts are covered in every grade level, that vertical alignment, it's just there. It happens. It's great. So be sure with your digital tools that you use those outside of this program as well. Please take advantage of those for station ideas and task cards you can make to use with those. If you have creative ways you've used them in your classroom, we would love to hear about that. You can email me at Carole@LoneStarLearning.com, Carole @LoneStarLearning.com. We would love to see different ways that you use the digital tools, the comparing fractions, the 0 to 99 chart. For our bigger kids, we've got comparing fractions, and we've got a great tool for percentages. So we want to hear from you. How else do you use this? Because I just think there's so many ways that you could use these. In your kindergarten and first grade program, there's great stuff for building up numeracy. Second grade teachers, you definitely want to take advantage of this tool. Let me click over real quick and just show you what that looks like. So where you're going to go to log in for your product is digital.lonestarlearning.com. digital.lonestarlearning.com, and then you're going to put in your email and log in, and your products are going to show up. And mine's spinning. All right, so let's look at first grade. Right here in the bottom corner on any grade level, this is where you're going to find the different tools. I mean, the grade level before you review. Sorry about that. And so right here is where you'll click for that. But I want to show you, so kindergarten, first, and second graders, y'all pay attention to this. Second grade, this isn't in second grade program, but it is in first grade program. So go back to it and use it. But it's a great daily exercises just to build numeracy. So I've got a clock. I'm going to, let's see, clear that. And so for kindergarten, day 1, you're just going to count to 1. It's going to keep track of that. You're going to come back the next day, 2. Next day, 1, 2, 3. Next day, 1, 2, 3, 4. And just all the way until you've gone all the way around the clock. So just simple, basic counting. First grade, same thing. And then we can get a little fancier here. So the big thing we really want kids to get to and to be comfortable with, and if you get your kids showing up to third grade and fourth grade knowing this, your teachers are just going to love you. And that's just that basic counting on. So I'm doing 10 plus 5. So I don't have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, just to get those kids to understand 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So just, you can use this clock for that basic idea. You can also come back over here and you can use the money for that. You've got your pennies you can count by, 1, 2, 3, and just have the kids count with you. Then I can make exchanges. So I've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then I can make an exchange. Oops, my mouse went crazy there. Okay, so I've got 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So great tool for building that numeracy. There's lots of instructions in your printables that'll show you how to best use these tools. But these are here for kindergarten, first, and second. You have access to them. You've got your place value chart, and the kids can build their numbers here. My little bar's in the way there. So 10, 20, 21, 22, 23. So just, this would be an easy thing to make task cards and let your kids play with this in a station, in a station. You've got graphs that you can build, and then a calendar. So you can talk about patterns, you can talk about numbers, all kinds of cool things you can do with this. So that's for my kindergarten, first, and second, and that's your daily exercises. Be sure and read your teacher instructions in your printables so you'll know exactly the benefits that you have from that. All right, back over here. Here we are. Okay, so let's talk about your printables. On your dashboard, back over here. Yep, I think I logged out. Okay, back over here. Let's look at third grade. For all grade levels, your printables are right here on this bottom bar, the second button with the picture of the printer. When you click on that, a PDF file is going to download, and then you can click on that PDF file, and you have access to all the great things that you need for the teacher side of life. We recently added a quick start guide, and it's towards the beginning. It's going to tell you how this program works and how to begin, what those first 3 cycles are going to look like for you, and what your kids need and what you need. So this ought to be a fast way for you just to look at this and figure out how to get started. This page, how are you going to use it? Are you going to use it in a whole group? You can use it as a bell ringer. Are you going to use it as a station? Do you have another idea of how you want to implement it? So think those things through to figure out exactly how you're going to put this in your classroom. You want to be sure to know that in the beginning, you're going to be very central to this. You are going to be the main act, and you're going to have to be modeling it for them and showing them exactly step by step how to go from goal day up on the board to goal day on their paper, and really modeling every little step. So that's going to be that first set, maybe that first 2 sets, and maybe the first 3 sets. And it's going to take a little more time at the beginning, but then the kids are going to get the hang of it, and you can back off a little bit. And we'll talk about a gradual release model and how you can do that with your kids and get to the point of independence for your 2nd through 6th graders. First grade, about that first semester, they're going to really need you. And then you can just kind of play it by ear and watch your kids to decide when they're ready to take a little bit more of a leadership independent role in that. So this little quick start guide is going to be great just for showing you everything that's in your printables and what you need. In your printables, you've got a text correlation chart that's going to tell you exactly which text is covered on which color and which letter. That's great for pulling kids that you need to do intervention with. So if kids are really struggling with 4-2A or 3-2A, then I'm going to pull them aside and we're going to look at gold ABCD together and just kind of focus on that with them. So that's a great way to use it again in intervention. And then of course the teacher tips are great. That'll help you know kind of how to approach it at the beginning, pitfalls to watch for, misconceptions to think about. So be sure and read through these when you have a minute, but definitely look through the quick start guide to get you going. We'll talk a little bit more about the printables here in just a minute. Okay, one of the big things in the printables that I really want to challenge you to take advantage of, and to be honest, the first year I used it, it was before it was even digital, and I was like, oh, that's just going to take too much time. And the next year I was more confident in it. It's like, oh, I'm gonna go for this, and so I did. Oh my goodness, that was the best thing I ever did. So don't be a Carole. Try this now. You really want to do this progress monitor thing. It's so fantastic. There's 2 different ways to do it. You can do it where the kids do the progress monitor themselves, which is an amazing way to let them celebrate their own successes, and they're kind of doing the work for you, and then you get to watch their work and get the information that you need. Or there's a teacher piece where you can do the progress monitoring. And there's a bunch of different ways to go about that. But using this progress monitoring piece will really increase student accountability during your TEKSas Target Practice time, because they're going to know, oh, this is important, and she's going to look at this. So it increases that accountability. At the same time, it's giving you unbelievable rich information. So here's what the student sheet looks like. So you've got the 18 sets, because remember, 1 set is 2 weeks. So this is week 1 and 2, week 3 and 4, week 5 and 6. And so gold A, after we've finished gold and we've gone back and checked it together, the kids are going to shade whether they got it right or they got it wrong. So right, mine shaded it green. Wrong, they shaded it orange. And really explain to your kids, orange is okay right now. Orange is good, actually. It's good. And we're going to talk about that in just a minute, why it's good. But let your kids know that orange is, it's the beginning of the year. I don't expect you to know this yet, but we're going to learn it. and you're going to watch yourself progress and learn. So there's the student progress monitor. Then there's a teacher page, and you can just do your student names across or down on this side, and then just kind of you can either monitor each student every question, or maybe you kind of know which kids you really need to watch, and maybe so-and-so really struggles with purple every time, and so really just to kind of watch that. Lots of different ways you can do that. You could do this progress monitor from their progress monitor page. I will remind you that TEKSas, the student tracking is so important. The teachers have to show that students are tracking progress and that they're tracking progress, and this is a great way to get that done, because the students are tracking their progress and you are tracking their progress, and you can see how things are going. The really cool thing about this is watching kids celebrate their successes. This is what one kid's page looked like. This was a pretty sharp mathematician, and at the beginning of the year, there was quite a bit of orange. And then as things progressed and we taught more of the text, and we've gone through the cycle more times, you see a lot more green. And that's what you want. You want to get to those greener pastures. But remember, orange is okay in the beginning. And be sure and let the kids know, orange means you're growing. All right, so in your printables, as I talked about just a minute ago, you have the student pages that the kids need. I want to talk about what each grade level needs in their folders. There's a couple of different ways to go about this. You can use just a regular old folder, and the kids just keep their stuff in it. Or what I did is my kids just had a plastic page protector that they kept with them. It was in, fourth graders, they had a little notebook that they kept everywhere, and so this just stayed in their notebook. My second graders, they had a blue folder that was for math, and so this just stayed in their blue folder for math. But nothing gets lost in these things. The pages can't fall out, and so the kids really keep up with it. And again, like I told you earlier, if your kids know you love TEKSas Target Practice and it's so important to you, they're going to take good care of this because they love you. They think you're the best thing ever, and they want to make you happy. So they're going to keep up with this. So my kids just had their progress monitor page stuck in there, and then they also had the student thanks sheet stuck in there. Now on this progress monitor page, for all grade levels, you just need one per child for the entire year. So you just run one classroom set of those, and that's going to take care of you for the whole year. I seriously had to replace maybe one or two of those throughout the year because the kids just really took care of them. On the student thanks sheet, that you need either per week or per 2 weeks. It depends on which student thanks sheet you choose. There's two different types of student thanks sheets. There's this student thanks sheet that has the workspace on the side, and that one is one per week. So there's front and back, so and a different one for the first week of the cycle and a different one for the second week of the cycle. So I just ran enough for the 6 weeks and passed those out on Monday, and they were good to go. The other think sheet is all 5 days on one page and all 5 days on the second page. So you just need one of those front and back for the 2-week cycle. So you just have to decide which one you prefer most. If you'll notice on the think sheets and over here, you've got a QR code, and that QR code is going to take you to think abouts, and I'll show you that here in just a minute. First grade, for your students, you're going to need to run student think sheets, either for the week or for the 2 weeks. The progress monitor, one for the entire year. The 0 to 99 chart, one for the entire year per kid, and then the QR codes. Second grade, same thing as first grade, except for you also have a supplemental page for purple because it's a measurement page, and they're going to have to measure each of these different links every other week. So you need one of these per kid for the entire school year. Third grade, you get the mathematics chart. You get so one per year per child, and then the student progress chart, one per year per child, and then your think sheets are the only thing that are either weekly or bi-weekly. Fourth grade, same thing as third grade, except for you have 2 supplemental pages, one for purple and one for pink, and you just need one of those per child for the entire year. So not a lot of copies of that. Fifth and sixth grade, you've got the supplemental or the reference material. I'm sorry, called it the wrong thing there, and just the other pages the other grade levels had. You have the progress chart and the QR chart. Let's talk about the QRs real quick. So in your program, in your TEKSas Target program, Target Practice program, you'll notice, let's go with gold here. You'll notice this little light bulb up here in the corner. These are called our Think About It's. So if you just click on that, let's see, so let's say the kids are really struggling with B, expanded notation. So I'm going to click on the light bulb, and I'm going to choose B, and it's going to explain to me and give me a model of what expanded notation looks like. This is intended to give the kids just enough information to get them thinking on their own without you giving them the answer, because that's what our goal is for kids to be the thinkers. So the Think About It's are really cool. It's something that a lot of teachers don't realize are there, and those are for all grade levels. So on that QR code, when the kids scan it, they get this little piece right here that says the A, B, C, D, E, and they're just going to, on their iPad, click on the letter, and it's going to give them a little tip. Sometimes it's going to explain a vocabulary term that might be what's stumping them, and sometimes it's going to give them a model, just a bunch of different ways that it's going to go about it. So take advantage of this light bulb, because it's a powerful tool that gets greatly overlooked. So that's what this little QR code right here will get your kids to. That QR code is also on the Think Sheets. Let's see. I think it's only on the Think Sheet that's has the workspace on the side. So this is the one that's one per week. So the 4-page one. So it's got the QR code right there that the kids can scan, or you can just scan this little bookmark and they can keep that and have access to those Think Abouts. So that's kind of a cool thing. So you need to make copies of the progress monitor chart, 1 copy per kid for the whole year. You need to make copies of the supplemental pages for your grade level, and that's different per grade level, so be sure and read your instructions. And then the Think Sheet, like we talked about, 1 per student per week. Or if you do the Think Sheet that's 2 pages for the 2 weeks, 1 per student per every 2 weeks. So again, you're just going to have to figure out what works best for your classroom. All right, this is a little quote that we had recently from a principal that uses our product on her campus, and she said that I see a direct correlation between teacher usage and STAR scores. She's saying that she can predict, based on teacher usage, whose STAR scores are gonna be the tops. So I really challenge you guys, jump in this, both feet, gung-ho and ready, and so that you can be successful at the end of the year. Another teacher recently told us, I honestly couldn't do without y'all. I mean that sincerely. I just wish I could make others understand that if you put the time into TEKSas Target Practice at the beginning of the year, it makes the transition to the new material so easy. I love that. We're going to talk a little bit about that in a minute. It's going to save you time down the road. One of the main things that we hear from teachers who use TEKSas Target Practice is that they struggle with, what do I do when the text is new? Because they just think I've got to teach the whole thing and they've got to master it now. And so I really want us to spend some time on that. What do you do when this is a standard that is completely new to these sweet babies? So what do I do? And so let's talk about that. So TEKSas Target Practice is designed to be a preview. We're previewing what you're going to learn. All right? TEKSas Target Practice is designed to be practice of what you're learning right now. And TEKSas Target Practice is designed to review what you already know, what you've been taught. All right? So a preview, a practice, and a review. So when we're at the preview part, we don't expect the kids to understand exactly how to do it. And so at that point, the teacher is going to be modeling. She's going to be talking, doing the think aloud, and just modeling exactly, what does this look like? Not giving a whole lesson on what it means, how to do it. How are we going to get to an algorithm from here? None of that. This is just simply just modeling. And kids pick up a lot from modeling. A lot of your kids will be off and running before you know it, just from your modeling. And you're going to use academic vocabulary while you're talking about it and going through it. And those little things are going to help your kids. And we're going to go through those steps here in just a minute. So what do you do when the text is new? Text, TEKS, whatever you want to call it. And the very first thing you can do is make connections. Almost every text for your grade level can be connected to something that your mathematicians have already learned. There are very few brand spanking new texts. There are some, but there aren't a bunch. So almost everything can be related to something that they've already learned. So your job is to help the kids make those connections. Here's an example of that. So on this one right here, the task is, this is a 4th grade task, brand new to 4th graders. Only thing they know about angles when they come to 4th grade is acute, obtuse, and right. They know 90 degrees, less than 90 degrees, and more than 90 degrees. And that's really about all they know. So they come to 4th grade, and we're on yellow, which is week 1. So week 1, we're hitting yellow already, and my kids have to find a missing angle. Do they have anything in their back pocket to help them find a missing angle? Yes, they do. So I would talk to my kids very briefly. I would say, oh, look at this. The hole from here to here is 90. Oh, and the part from here to here is 20. What does that sound like, guys? And a lot of your kids are going to be like, oh, that's a part, hole, missing part. I'm going to subtract. So yes, look at this. Here's 1st grade. Same thing, missing part. Yes. So kids are either going to think 8 plus blank equals 10 or 10 minus 8 equals blank. So definitely a connection here all the way back to 1st grade. And I guarantee you can find a connection in 2nd grade and in 3rd grade. And so my 4th grader ought to be able to find success on this really quickly, right? But not a huge lesson on it, just a real brief connector. All right, in my classroom, at the front of my classroom, in a big poster that I had made just for my class, it was this right here. And it said, use what you know to figure out what you don't know. And that's what we want our kids to do. We don't want them to think they have to be spoon-fed all of this. There is a lot of stuff your kids already know, and we want to teach them to use what they know to figure out what they don't know. So that's a perfect example, what I just showed you, of using what you know to figure out what you don't know. And just watching them grow in that is beautiful. We talked about this a lot in my 4th grade class, and talked about it a lot in my 2nd grade class. And one day this cute little boy raised his hand. He's like, Miss Harbison. It's like, what? He's like, is that the mathematific method? It's like, it is now. So here's our mathematific method to really get our kids to think. As you're trying to make those connections, one of the other things you can do is take advantage of that last 6 weeks review that is available from the grade level before you. So find that text correlation chart like I showed you is in your printables for 3rd grade, or like if you're a 4th grade teacher, look at the 3rd grade text correlation chart. Find which text vertically aligns with the one that you're fixing to introduce on your TEKSas Target Practice. Pull that day up and see what connections you can make. Use your correlation chart, use your review, and most importantly, go talk to the teacher down the hall. If you're a 2nd grade teacher, go visit with the 1st grade teachers and ask them, hey, what do you think I could connect this with to really help the kids catch this quickly? So your cohorts are your greatest resource, so be sure and take advantage of that. Number one thing to remember about this part is struggle is okay. And this is what I was talking about a minute ago when we're talking about the orange and that I wanted to get back to. Orange is good. Because you know what? Orange means your kids are actually growing. If you've read much about growth mindset, you understand that really brain growth doesn't happen when it's easy. Brain growth happens when it's hard and I'm struggling and I'm wrestling with it. That's when the growth happens. So this opportunity at the beginning of that struggle, that's good. Don't give up and don't think, oh, my kids can't struggle. You want your kids to have to think and to have to stretch themselves. We need kids to learn that it's okay not to know everything. that it's okay to have to learn. So be okay with struggle, and your kids will be okay with struggle too. I read a book by John Hattie recently, Visible Learning for Mathematics, and I loved this quote. And to me, it just fits perfectly with TEKSas Target Practice. If you review the biographies of great mathematicians, the common denominator is they know how to struggle. I love how I threw common denominator in a quote about mathematicians. Anyway, they knew that it wasn't exceptional talent that enabled success, but it was an ability to persist, the ability to struggle, the ability to see growth, and the ability to try again. Guys, TEKSas Target Practice allows all of those things. It allows you to keep persisting. It allows you to struggle. It allows you to see your growth and to celebrate that growth through that progress chart. And it allows you to try again. Because gold, it's coming back every other week. And I'm going to get to try again. Cherry, maybe I didn't do good on this week, but every other week I'm going to get another shot at it. So, I mean, that just perfectly lines up with TEKSas Target Practice. I love it. All right, after making connections, the teacher can model. The teacher will simply model how the students will solve in the future. All right, and this may come before making connections. You're just going to have to kind of figure out which one needs to go where based on the card and what fits best. But you're just going to model it. So let's say you're in 5th grade, and all of a sudden we have to divide fractions. I'm just going to model it. I'm in 4th grade. We've got to do long division. Kids aren't going to know how to do that yet. And that's okay. I'm just going to model it, and I'm going to talk about quotient and dividend and divisor, and I'm going to use the academic vocabulary while I'm modeling it, and the kids are just going to be following along with me. This allows you to build a foundation. It's just a very thin layer of our foundation, and it also allows you, like I said, to get that vocabulary in. So great teachers, when you're modeling, you always begin with concrete. You're going to move to pictorial, and then you're going to solve abstract. And again, this process allows that to happen smoothly. So like I said, in 5th grade, brand new to students. So what am I going to do? I'm going to model it. A quick modeling of by the teacher is going to lay a foundation. You can do a model. So I've got, this is my whole. This pink is half of the whole. So if I divide this pink in half, well, then what do I have? So I divided that half in pink. Well, I have 1/4. I'm touching the wrong piece because it's backwards on my camera there. Okay, so 1/2 divided by 2 equals 1/4. So just a real quick little model. Didn't take long, didn't spend a long time on it, but just gives the kids a quick idea. I'm not expecting mastery right now. Remember, we're just showing them real fast. This particular card allows both of those things to happen. I can do that quick modeling and then concrete modeling, and then I also have this pictorial here. So this is really cool on that one. Really want to emphasize vocabulary here. Here's a 2nd grade one, and it is talking about, somewhere I've got my cards over here, even and odd. So I'm going to find my vocabulary cards. If you have our visual vocabulary cards, you can pull those out. So here's my odd. So I'm just going to talk to the kids about odd. Look at this. That's odd. This one doesn't have a match. Well, that looks even, Stephen, because everybody has a match. Fast as that. Don't spend a long time on it. And so just a real quick introduction. Here's a financial literacy one for another grade level. So Roberto deposited. So I'm just going to talk about deposit. And what does that mean? I'm putting something in. Into a savings account, save, again, something's going in. And then down at the bottom part of that card, it talks about withdrawal. So we're going to talk about withdrawal, and withdrawal means that I'm taking something out. And so I can X that one out real quick, and just based on vocabulary understanding, kids can get to these solutions pretty quick. Prime and composite, again, for your when this is brand new at the beginning of the school year, you're going to want to just talk about vocabulary. As you're modeling, you also want to take advantage of your digital tools. For example, in 1st grade, gold, and 2nd grade, gold, you've got to do 10 more, 10 less. So let's go back over here. Let's go to 1st grade in my digital tools. And I'm going to pull up, let's see. Oops, sorry, hang on. Let's get out of that one. Let's go here. This is where the gold. Okay, here we go. So here's my 0 to 99 chart. So 10 more, 10 less. So I'm just going to use my interactive tools here, and let's, I don't remember what the number was here. Let's say 10 more or 10 less. Let's just pick a number here. So let's do just the 23 part. And then we would want to make that connection with 123. So 23 right here. And we're going to talk about 10 more. So we can either go counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, or we can show the kids that we've got 10 more. So the only thing that changed here was my tens place changed by 1. So my answer is 23. And then 10 more is 33. So just take advantage of those digital tools that are built in your program. All of the different grade levels have different tools, and so you'll want to check those out for your grade level. All right, I'm going to move along because time is ticking. So for 5th grade, I'm comparing fractions. So for comparing fractions, you're also going to do that in 4th grade. So if you'll look at your digital tools for 4th or 5th grade, you will see at the bottom of your page that you have a wonderful tool for comparing fractions. And again, like I said, guys, find ways to use these outside the program. This is a great, make some task cards and have kids comparing some fractions. So let's say we're going to compare 1/4 to, let's say, 2/8. Oh, let's do 2/4 to 2/8. Okay, if you ask kids, just right off the top of the bat, you know, which is greater, 2/4 or 2/8, what are kids going to say? They're all going to say 2/8 is bigger. So here, I'm just going to real quick give them a real quick, hey guys, check this out. Big denominator, little piece. Little denominator, big piece. And when kids kind of start making those connections, then they can start understanding that, oh, the fact that this 8 is big means that my pieces are smaller. So if I have 2 smaller pieces, then that one's probably not going to be bigger. So just some real quick, easy things to kind of connect to. You can show pictorial on this. You can show just the fractions. And then for your 5th graders and your 4th graders, you can do the decimals. And then 5th graders and 6th graders, you can do the percentages. So that's an amazing tool and lots of different ways that you can use that. So as you're modeling, use those tools. And then you also want to use real manipulatives. If you're doing a question about Mel saves money each week, then really pull out the play money. You're doing one on elapsed time, then pull out your play clock. You're you're adding, subtracting, whatever, but then pull out those place value blocks and whatever it takes, just a real quick to model. For 1st grade, you could use the place value blocks that are built in your daily exercises would be another idea there. Model, you're just going to model. So for some of these bigger things like the long division, area models, things that are just well beyond your kids, you're just going to flat out model it up at the board, writing it through with your interactive pen or a marker, however you want to do it, and just talking the math language and explaining to the kids the steps, but not expecting them to understand them right now. They're just going to be following along with you. Then after you've made connections, you've done modeling. As you get closer to you're actually in that unit, then you might want to give a brief, and I do mean brief, mini lesson, short. This is not where mastery is expected. This is where we're going to come back and practice it as we're learning it and reviewing it after we've learned it. Remember, you're building a foundation and you're making those connections right now, and mastery is not the goal at this point. It's certainly not the beginning. I'm going to click on through here. The teacher tips are great. Talked about that. All right. Just like that lady in that quote earlier said, time now is going to save you time down the road. Your kids are going to make connections so much quicker when you bring up the actual content, because they're going to be like, oh, comparing fractions, that's like what we talk about on Purple A. And they're going to make those connections, and teaching the content's going to come smoother to you. It's going to be smoother for the kids. And so trust me, if you'll spend that time now, you're going to save that time later. But again, this is a 10 to 15 minute program. The first few weeks may take you a little more than that, but please, we do not intend for this to be your curriculum. This is just a supplement to make your kids make those connections, keep those connections throughout the year, and opportunity to practice. In my classroom, I use TEKSas Target Practice as a bell ringer. As soon as my kids crossed the threshold into Miss Harbison's classroom, they had their little sleeve with their papers in it. They had those out and they were ready to go. After the first few weeks of me modeling and working through it with them, and as we could move more to that independence, they would just get it out and get started on their own. They understood that if it was one we had not learned yet, to skip it and go on, and that we would talk about it as a class. But we would always come back to it. We would always go back and check all our answers and then talk about the ones that we hadn't learned yet. So bell ringer is a great way to save time. Time is so very valuable. Ben Franklin said that lost time is never found again. How true is that? The older you get, the more you understand that. But if you waste 5 minutes at the beginning of your class and 5 minutes at the end of your class, by the end of the school year, you've lost an entire 6 weeks. Ouch. Guys, time is too valuable with those babies to lose an entire 6 weeks. So when you choose to use this as a bell ringer, or maybe as a wrap up at the end of the day, however you want to do it, but be faithful with that time, be a good steward with that time, because it's so very important. Using this as a bell ringer, make sure that you're providing your kids with nutritious and valuable content while you tend to your students, while you just spend a little time with them and greeting them in the morning, while you take care of attendance. But at the same time, you're going around and checking on everybody and making sure that everybody's on task, making sure that nobody's stumped and stuck, and just kind of checking the progress of everybody. The other good thing about using this as a bell ringer is it sets a tempo. When your kids come in your class and they know exactly what to expect, we've got this tempo going, and the kids know that this is important, I'm doing this, and that as soon as this is over, we're going to the next thing, and that tempo is set, and that keeps so many kids on task and doing the right thing. It's when this happens that things fall apart in your classroom, that kids make bad choices, that kids get off task. So really you want to set that tempo and keep the tempo. It also sets an incredible expectation for your kids. They know that you have high expectations because, my goodness, you're letting them start with all of 4th grade content at the beginning of the year. Wow, you must think they're a genius. So set the expectations high and your kids will reach those expectations. And some creative uses for your kids as you progress through the year, and maybe you've got some kids that they're finishing so fast, they've got this down, it's February and they're flying. So maybe some creative things you can use is some of these ideas, and I don't have time to go through all of these. Maybe we can hit these in a little micro session later. But one thing that I did with my kids is I would flip the roles, and I would be the student and they would be the teacher. And I would pull up one of the pages, I would do it on the board, and then they had to figure out what was wrong. They were the teacher. They had to grade my paper, and then they had to make a short little video clip using the Seesaw app and send to me that explained to me, oh, I'm sorry, Miss Harbison, you missed this one, and I think it might be because you didn't regroup right. Or, oh, you missed this one because you used the wrong operation. So getting kids to think on that level is incredible. It promotes higher level thinking. It aids in conceptual understanding because they're having to speak the math. And it's a great test taking strategy too, because if kids can figure out wrong answers, they won't fall into the state's trap of those really answers that look really right, but they're not, they're really wrong. It's kind of that best wrong answer mentality. So this is another way to use any of our digital programs. I want to encourage you to establish a routine and stick with it. Establish some sort of accountability and get your kids engaged. And that's why I really liked the progress monitor piece, because it gives that accountability. And then once we had done place value and expanded notation and we had done 10 times the place value and 1/10 place value, whatever we had done, I might say, hey guys, gold A, B, C, and D are going to be exit tickets today. So I want to be sure and see those when you leave today. And so just little things like that to increase that accountability to make sure everybody's on task and committed to the task. At the beginning of the year, it's going to take a little more time. Kindergarten, you're going to be the lead row in this year round. First grade, that first semester, it's going to be teacher-led and students moving towards helping and then moving towards independence. And we're going to talk about the gradual release model, and you can listen to that too, first grade teachers as well. So for 2nd through 6th grade, we're going to talk about the gradual release model. You're going to begin by modeling the work with the class and then move to that release where the kids are being more independent as the kids become more familiar. So here's the gradual release model. The first step in this is I do and you watch, right? So I'm going to do the math on the board. You're going to watch and copy it on your paper. And keep in mind, some of the things your kids are going to know pretty quick. And so don't bore them or insult them by thinking they don't know. So those that you know, hey, these guys can figure this out, let them do that. Let them give that a try. The second step is a sharing step. I'm going to do and you're going to help. So I may speak part of it and you're going to help complete it. The third step is also sharing. You're going to do and I'm going to help, right? And we're just going to move slowly through this in those first few sets to get our kids comfortable and ready to go. And then the fourth set is the application part. You're going to do and I'm going to watch. So notice there's always a you and there's always an I. You're not ever exempt from being a participant in this. You always want to be involved and see what your kids are doing. And when they're through with that day, you want to come back and check it together. And then the kids are going to do that progress monitor. You're going to do a quick run around the room and eyeball everything, kind of see where everybody is and who might need a little more help. Like anything else, guys, these products are only effective if you use them like they're intended. If you take a screwdriver and you use it like a hammer, don't be surprised if it doesn't work. All right? Use the product like it's intended to be used. It's intended to be used every day. It's intended to use every color every 2 weeks. So be sure you go ahead and do that. Don't be afraid and think, oh, the kids don't know this. Expose them to it. Give them opportunity to learn it. Give them opportunity to make generalizations as you just have these gentle conversations about it. When used daily, I'm so confident that I can tell you your kids will be successful. We hear from customers all the time who tell us our scores went up when we started using TEKSas Target Practice. My scores were 100% passing because I used TEKSas Target Practice. Our scores increased because we used TEKSas Target Practice. That's a pretty easy way to get your scores and your students increasing and growing, and that's our ultimate goal. So don't take shortcuts, all right? I am married to a pastor, so I feel so obligated here to give an illustration. And the pastor actually helped me with this illustration. Every teacher needs a good teacher spouse, whether it's your husband who's a good teacher spouse, or guys, if you have a wife, I hope she's a good teacher spouse and helps you cut out all this stuff. But my poor guy, he had to do some major cutting last night. So TEKSas Target Practice is a spiral. Everything sticks together. It's consistent. It's all together. I can find it. It's just there. It's a spiral, all right? And it's going to come back around. Now, if you decide, you know what, my kids can't do it. Don't underestimate your kids. Never underestimate kids. They're so resilient and so moldable, and they learn so fast. Give them a chance and believe in them, and they're going to surprise you. But if you go from this mentality that this is a spiral and it all works together to, you know what, spiral, I don't need it. So you know what, the first 8 weeks, we're just going to do gold. We're only gold. So here's my gold. I got gold. So we do this the first 8 weeks, and then kids, put that aside, compartmentalize it, gold, done. Well, May comes around and I haven't done gold since October. What was that? Remember she had a cute song, and I don't know. So that's out. And then you're like, so then we're going to just work on blue. Kids are good at blue. It's pretty easy for them. We're just going to do blue for the next 4 weeks. So here's my blue, and we're going to stick it over here. Nothing's together. The kids don't remember what's what because it hasn't come back around and around and around and around. Let's see. Here's orange, and we're not going to spend much time on that. Maybe it's financial literacy. Only going to be a couple of questions on that. Orange, schmorange. I'm done with it. Okay, that doesn't help your kids because it doesn't keep everything coming back around. You want everything coming back around. Gold's going to come back around in 2 weeks, so I get another chance to be successful at it. Yellow's coming around in another 2 weeks. I get another chance to be successful at it. Red's coming around in another 2 weeks. I get another chance to be successful at it. The spiral only works if you do the complete cycle of the spiral. There's days that it's going to be a struggle, and there's days that it's going to be a little harder. But please commit to the task, and I promise your kids are going to be amazing. So I want to encourage you to work every math muscle all year long so that you have a well-balanced mathlete. Okay, another example, I know, but it's a good one. If you just work this muscle, then all of a sudden, you know, this guy's muscle is looking pretty good. But then you got a little, ooh, what is that? Comparing fractions, that little squishy part on the back of your arm, that is not going to come in very handy because it's not very strong. You haven't covered it as well. It's not, it's going to stink, I got to tell you. So be sure that you're covering all of it. You're building those math muscles consistently all year round, and you're going to have a very well-balanced mathlete. Don't give up. If you keep going, you will not regret it. Promise you. If you give up, I can promise you, you will regret it because you're not going to reap the benefits. Your kids aren't going to reap the benefits. So please don't give up. If you get to that point after week 2 and you think you're going to give up, please call me. Call our office and ask for Carole. I would love to visit with you about how we can get past that wall that you've hit so that your kids can keep moving forward with this. It's kind of like a diet. You know, those first 3 weeks, the first 3 letters in diet or die, and you think you're going to. But if you'll stick with it and you'll move past those first 3, 4, 5 weeks, I promise you this is going to roll so smooth, and your kids they're going to just come in, they're going to get their stuff out, they're going to be ready to go, they're going to do the ones they can do, they're going to wait on you for the ones that they need assistance on as a class. It happens faster than you think if you trust your kids to set this routine, you trust their kids to struggle and try, I promise it's going to happen quicker than you think. If you have registered for this training, just want to tell you this real quick, and then I'm going to switch over to the program and make sure we've shown everything. If you've registered for the training in the link above, you're going to receive a $5 off Targeted coupon. And Targeted is a great game that goes hand in hand with TEKSas Target Practice. It has the same color coding as TEKSas Target Practice, and it's aligned to all the texts like TEKSas Target Practice. So you can pull out the text that you want your kids to practice on. And the cards have QR codes on the back so the kids can check their work. It comes with 3 different ways to play. Plus, we send out additional spinners and additional game boards throughout the year. So it's a growing program. Great for sticking in a station as a game. We try to keep it fresh by sending you new things out so your kids can keep playing it and it doesn't become too familiar to them. So be looking for that in an email if you've registered for this training. You're also going to get a Smart Choices poster that you can download and post in your classroom. This is just something for the kids who are your fast finishers. What do I do when I'm through kind of thing. So this is going to be a freebie for you. Has some activity ideas on the back. These are also great station activities. If you need some station ideas, this would be great for that too. So be watching for that in your email if you've registered for the training. I'm going to switch over real quick to TEKSas Target Practice and make sure we haven't forgotten anything. Let's see. Again, we'll be answering the questions on the comment thread throughout the next couple of days. So if you have questions, post them on there, and we'll try to address those as quickly as we can over the next couple of days. You got your 2-week cycle. each day is a different color. You've got your student sheet, and your student page is always going to look just like this bottom part of your screen. If you want to show the answers, let's talk about that. I can show all the answers by clicking on here, or if I want to show one answer at a time, I'm going to click on the letter. Make sure I've covered that, because I didn't cover that, did I? So if you want to show one answer at a time, when you go back to check it, just click on a letter at a time and it'll show you those. Don't forget your think abouts, the little light bulb here, and your kids have access to those. Don't forget about your digital tools down here at the bottom, different ones for different grade levels. All of those are great ways for modeling, also great ways for letting your kids come to solutions without totally dependent on you. So be sure and check those out as well. I am sure there is something I'm forgetting, because there's so much to say about this. It's fantastic. I hope you guys know that Lone Star Learning thinks you're the most important people on the planet. You classroom teachers are the difference makers. You're the ones that help kids believe in themselves when nobody else believes in them. So challenge them, encourage them, set those expectations high, and give them room to grow. And they've got to have a little struggle. They've got to have challenge. They've got to have some failures. All those things are a recipe for growth. And our culture doesn't really let us understand that or experience that very well. But I want to challenge you as you start this school year to not be afraid of those things, to embrace those things, and let your kids embrace those things. As you take on TEKSas Target Practice, if you have any questions, please feel free. You can always hop on Facebook and ask us a question. You can always call our office. The 806 number is 806-575-1424. Try to make sure I'm not saying those wrong, because one of them is very much like my cell phone. Our 800 number is 1-800-575-1424. We have the most gracious people on our phones, and they'll be so happy to help you. If you need specific help with TEKSas Target Practice and you'd like to speak with me, I would love to. Be sure you follow us on Facebook, share us with your friends on Facebook. We really look forward to sharing more teaching tips with you and more training opportunities with you. So we hope that you'll take advantage of those things. I'm so glad you spent this last hour with me. I'm honored that you did. I'm cheering you guys on. I'm looking forward to hearing great things about Texas math teachers in the year 2018, 2019. So good luck, guys, and we'll see you soon.